You hand over the keys, sign the title, and watch the new owner pull your old car out of the driveway. As the taillights turn the corner and disappear down the street, you feel a sudden, involuntary tightness in your chest. The cash is in your pocket, the transaction is complete, and yet tears are welling up in your eyes. You are standing on the pavement, grieving for a machine. Objectively, a car is a depreciating appliance. It is roughly 4,000 pounds of stamped steel, molded plastic, vulcanized rubber, and glass. It rolls off a massive assembly line, exactly like tens of thousands of identical units. It requires constant, expensive maintenance, loses value by the day, and eventually ends up crushed in a scrapyard. It is a highly engineered tool designed exclusively for moving human bodies from point A to point B. We generally accept the replacement of a refrigerator or a toaster with cold indifference. Yet, when we relinquish a car we have driven for years, the psychological reaction rarely matches the economic reality of the transaction. For many, parting with a vehicle feels uncomfortably close to losing a physical limb. This intense human attachment to vehicles defies strict utilitarian logic. The grief experienced in the driveway is not about the loss of mobility, nor is it about the metal and plastic driving away. The sense of loss is deep and visceral because we are mourning a part of ourselves. In 1988, consumer psychologist Russell Belk published a framework that explains this phenomenon. He called it the theory of the extended self. Belk proposed that human identity is not confined to the physical mind and body. Instead, our self-concept aggressively absorbs the possessions we control, the environments we inhabit, and the objects we actively manipulate. The human brain possesses a remarkable level of neuroplasticity when it comes to tools. When a person uses a blind man's cane, the brain stops feeling the handle in the palm and begins feeling the tip striking the pavement. The perceptual boundary expands. When you slide into the driver's seat, your brain undergoes a similar mapping process. You do not just intellectually know where the bumpers are, your spatial awareness physically expands to include the dimensions of the chassis. The machine is neurologically incorporated into your physical schema. This psychological grafting is cemented through specific, deliberate behaviors. Controlling the steering wheel establishes dominance over the object, but intimate physical care seals the bond. Spending a Sunday afternoon meticulously washing the paint, vacuuming the interior, and changing the oil requires an investment of physical energy and time. As personal memories accumulate inside the cabin, the road trips, the arguments, the quiet morning commutes, the car absorbs the emotional residue of your life. Because the brain has neurologically mapped the vehicle as part of the body and psychologically mapped it as a container for memories, threats to the car are processed as direct threats to the individual. This is why a minor scratch in a parking lot spikes cortisol levels and triggers severe anxiety. The damage is not perceived as property destruction. It registers in the neural pathways as a literal injury to the self. Through time, control, and memory, the car transforms from an inanimate space into a biological and psychological extension of human identity. If the car acts as a mechanical extension of internal identity, the immediate question becomes what this extension broadcasts to everyone else. A highway is a unique social ecosystem. It is an environment where millions of strangers observe and evaluate each other in fractions of a second, entirely through the proxy of their vehicles. To understand how humans use cars to signal identity to strangers, researchers O'Connor and colleagues mapped human personality dimensions directly onto vehicle preference. They found that automotive preferences largely split across two primary dimensions: those who prioritize safety and practicality, and those who prioritize style and performance. When correlated with clinical traits, the strongest predictor for high style was narcissism. The need for external validation and admiration translates directly into horsepower, loud exhaust systems, and visually striking, aggressive automotive design. The vehicle acts as a mechanical megaphone for the ego. This signaling behavior is reinforced by a 2020 study by Lonnquist and colleagues, which examined the psychological profiles of luxury car owners. The data revealed that men who score highly on the trait of disagreeableness meaning they are statistically more likely to be argumentative, unempathetic, and aggressive, are strongly drawn to high-status luxury cars like Audis and BMWs. These vehicles are selected specifically because they enforce social hierarchy and demand deference from other drivers on the road. Evolutionary psychologists frame this behavior through life history theory. In biology, organisms adopt different strategies for survival and reproduction. Those employing a fast life strategy prioritize immediate gratification, risk-taking, and high mating effort, often signaling their genetic fitness through displays of wealth and dominance. In the modern human environment, a high-performance, high-status vehicle functions exactly like a peacock's elaborate tail feathers. It is an evolutionary signal of resource acquisition and mating value. The morning commute is heavily coded in human biology. Driving is a primal act of communication, transmitting our most deeply ingrained survival and reproductive strategies to complete strangers at highway speeds. A driver's identity takes form at the point of purchase, but the psychological bond is finalized through the physical act of claiming the object. Transforming a mass-produced product into a personal domain is a necessary step in establishing true ownership. Researchers Frayne in 2007 and later Schlemko investigated how drivers assert this ownership through vehicle personalization. They focused specifically on the phenomenon of bumper stickers, window decals, and custom license plates. Young drivers, in particular, engage in heavy personalization as a way to carve out an independent identity separate from their childhood homes. These modifications fall into two distinct psychological categories. Identity-oriented markers project affiliations, displaying a university logo, a favorite sports team, or a political candidate. Control-oriented markers are designed to dictate the behavior of others, using aggressive humor or direct commands to establish boundaries. Both serve the exact same psychological function. They are the modern equivalent of marking territory. The studies uncovered a highly counterintuitive behavioral finding. Drivers who heavily personalize their cars, regardless of whether the stickers promote peace signs and charity or aggressive political slogans, experience significantly higher rates of road rage. The actual message on the bumper sticker is entirely irrelevant. The sheer volume of personalization is what reliably predicts aggressive driving behavior. The psychology driving this aggression is rooted in spatial perception. Human beings instinctively categorize space into primary territories, like a private home, and public territories, like a park bench or a highway lane. When a driver aggressively customizes their vehicle, it tricks the brain. The dense concentration of personal markers causes the driver to subconsciously perceive the public road immediately surrounding their car as highly defended private primary territory. Once a driver heavily customizes their vehicle, the psychological stakes of commuting drastically alter. A minor traffic inconvenience, like being cut off in traffic, stops being processed as an annoyance and is instead perceived as a literal home invasion. Cars exert a heavier influence over human psychology than almost any other possession because they do not fulfill a single behavioral need. They successfully execute a highly specific three-part psychological trifecta. First, the car operates as a mirror. Through the mechanics of the extended self, the vehicle absorbs our physical boundaries, our memories, and our internal sense of identity. It reflects exactly who we believe ourselves to be in the privacy of the cabin. Second, it operates as a billboard. It is a highly visible, fast-moving evolutionary tool that broadcasts our personality traits, our social status, and our life history strategies to thousands of observing strangers every single day. Finally, it operates as a fortress. Through personalization and territorial marking, it provides a heavily armored private sanctuary in the middle of chaotic public spaces, ready to be aggressively defended against any perceived intrusion. The intense grief of a sale and the massive financial investment of ownership highlight the vehicle's role beyond simple transportation. Every time we turn the ignition, we are engaging a psychological exoskeleton,